سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين صلى الله عليه وسلم. There is a widespread misconception among some Muslims that the understanding of the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to say, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. O Prophet, say, I am a human being, I am only a human being as you are human beings. That the misconception is that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is just like us and we are just like him. Very briefly this evening, let us look at two characteristics of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One relating to his clothing. The beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reported to have said that gold and silk are haram for the males of my ummah and halal for the females of my ummah. And some decades after the beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had departed from this world, there was a discussion among the companions and tabi'in who were there as to whether a garment that is not made of silk but had a border of silk, whether it was permissible for a male to wear it, since silk is haram for males to wear. And Sayyid al-Mu'mineen, Sayyidatuna Salama, the sister of Sayyid al-Mu'mineen, Sayyidatuna Aisha, the elder sister Sayyidatuna Asma, she brought out a garment that she had in her possession, a garment of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a jubba of his, to show them that this garment was not made of silk, but it had a border of silk on it, in it. And so it is permissible for the male to wear a garment that is not made of silk, but only had a border of silk. But then she went on to say, this garment was in the possession of Sayyidatuna Aisha radhiyallahu anha, and when she passed away, it came into my possession. And we wash this garment for the people who are sick, seeking a cure thereby. Commentators of the hadith tell us that what they used to do was to soak the garment in water and squeeze the water out from the garment and give that water that is squeezed out from the garment of Rasulullah to the people who are sick to drink and to apply it on themselves. We wash this garment for the people who are sick, seeking a cure thereby. When we look at the time frame of this, then we see how amazing this is. Sayyidatuna Aisha radhiyallahu anha passed away maybe about 46, 47 years after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then this garment came into the possession of Sayyidatuna Asma radhiyallahu anha. For decades, Muslims, the companions had been soaking the garment of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in water and squeezing the water out and giving to the people who are sick to drink and apply it themselves. If we take a garment and we soak it in water once or twice or 10 times or 15 times, what remains in that garment? That you can do it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and still seeking a cure for the water that is squeezed out of the garment. It is only because it is the garment of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he used to wear. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed that garment with this miraculous quality. The second aspect is concerning saliva. We have in the hadith literature numerous hadith about the saliva of the beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Water had run short when the Muslims reached Hudaybiyah, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam rinsed his, set one of the companions down, gather whatever water is available and bring it, and he performed wudu, and then he rinsed his mouth and spat that water back into that container. That is, he mixed his saliva with some of the water, and told the companion to go down and throw this into the bottom and stir it with an arrow which Rasulullah gave him. And when the companion went and he put the little water with the saliva of Rasulullah there, and he stirred it, the water started to rise up so quickly that he had to hustle to get out. In the Battle of Khaybar, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told the companions that tomorrow he will give the standard to someone at whose hands Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant the Muslim victory. And that night, many companions were hoping, yearning that they be the one that Rasulullah would give the standard to. And in the next morning, Rasulullah sallallahu asked for Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala. And Sayyidina Ali was not there. And they told him that he had some sickness in his eye. And Rasulullah sallallahu sent for him. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam put some of his saliva in the eye of Sayyidina Ali and did dua. And his eye became as though it never had any ailment or sickness. When the Muslims were digging the trench, the ditch, and there was a shortage of food, and the companions were tying stones around their stomach to bear the pangs of hunger. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, there are reports that the companions were tying 2 stones, and in 1 stone, and he tied 2 stones. One of the companions asked his wife if she had any food, and she said she had a little animal, a young lamb, and a little bit of flour. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jabir went to him and told him that he invited him to have some food. And Jabir was amazed that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the companions to announce that Jabir has invited everyone for a meal. Whereas the food that Jabir knew that was available was food for about 2 or 3 people. And Rasulullah told him that do not take the pot in which they are cooking the meat off the fire until he comes, and do not bake the dough until he reaches there. And when Rasulullah reached there, he put some of his saliva in the pot and some of his saliva in the dough, and then he told them to bake to go and cook, well, bake it or make the roti or whatever they were making with it. And the hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari tells us that hundreds of companions ate from that little food that Jabir had. Jabir said when the companions were finished eating, when he looked at the pot, it looked as though it had the same amount of food as when they as before these hundreds of companions started to eat, except that you could see that people had put their hands in front. So these are just 2 of the amazing characteristics of the most beloved in all of creation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to show us that this misconception that Rasulullah is just like us and we are just like him. Yes, he was a human being, 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 ears, and so on. But his characteristics are completely different from ours. As one of the poets has said, Muhammadun basharun wa laysa kal-bashari. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a man, but he is not like other men, other human beings. Bal huwa yaqutatun wa nasu kal-hajari. Nay, he is like a precious stone, and human beings are like stones. He is like a ruby, and the rest of human beings are like stones. So the beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the greatest in all of creation, the most beloved in all of creation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let us strive to study his life and strive to learn about his example and strive to follow it, and let us be abundant in sending the Sharif from him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسع